setup, new set of cleats. These ones a bit ragged, especially with the new Asioma pedals. I don't want to be scratching them up too much. I put the cleats that came with them on these shoes, but they're basically pretty sure they're 0 degree float shoes and cleats, and my knees felt a bit funny using them on that first ride. Wednesday, trying to get back to it after 2 days off the bike in the Lake District in North Yorkshire. After the 100, left glute still pretty stiff, and but much better than it was. Saddle sores, same. Surprisingly not too bad this year. But yeah, stayed in North Yorkshire last night and then drove back late morning. Getting out for my ride in the afternoon, and yeah, definitely feeling tired still. Core sensor thinks I'm cooking, reckons I'm at 39. Ironic because it decided not to connect during the actual 100 itself. I was too stressed with getting to the start on time, so I didn't give it a shake. But 3.5 hours riding it, decided not to connect is crazy. It's trying to make up for the lost heat training load by thinking I'm cooking today. And then 45, 55, and then start recording, and the left leg's like, no, we're good today. It's been saying otherwise the whole rest of the ride. Thursday, feeling really good actually. Had to warm up my left glute and lower back with the massage gun, but feeling significantly better than they were yesterday. Yeah, I'm just not tired like I was yesterday as well. Rocking the shiny new jersey. This is the one I got on Sunday. Labelled my old one, so they're exactly the same, but keep track of which one's which. Bit of an unstructured session today, just because I don't know how I'm going to be feeling. Feeling pretty good, but the left leg is definitely still struggling, so going to be playing it by ear. Just heading out to old road race circuit. It was used for Bradfield Bash for a couple of years. Actually just coming to the bottom of the hill now, but I'll keep going on the flat for Sheffield, that is. Rolling. Gonna do a couple of laps of that, like pushing on the hills, trying to just maintain a good speed. We're doing it all to feel. Then on Sunday I've got a road race, that Derby Mercury one that I did really well at in 2024. Fitness should be really good. I know the circuit's not too technical, just a raw fitness test, so it should be good fun. There we go, good session there. Did 4 laps of this, or just under 4 laps of this 10km road race circuit, but just skipped out the final descent and kept pressing over the top for a couple more minutes. Ended up being 40k in about 80 minutes, 320 watts average, but up and down, so normalised quite a lot higher, probably averaging like 340, 350, a couple of surges above 400, and then the descents. But yeah, feeling good. Not like incredible or anything, but considering how awful I felt yesterday, that's not too bad. Saddle sores, not too bad. Left leg, not too bad, sensation wise. Left right balance might be worse than normal, but left leg feels all fine. It doesn't feel numb or anything, which is really good. Now that my glutes loosened up, I definitely need to get back on the stretching grind. For a couple of days after the 100, it's like I didn't even bother trying to stretch it because it was so tight, but now it definitely get back to my stretching routine. Core temp pretty high, getting up to like 39. It was playing up yesterday because it disconnected from my heart rate monitor for some reason, but checked in the app this morning and it seemed to connect, so, and it's given how hot it is, and the session I did 38 high makes sense. Finish off my loop in the beautiful Bradfield. It'll be 2 and a bit hours for the ride. Tough ride that. Felt good before the session. Then during the session itself, I mean, it's tough work, but felt pretty good, felt pretty under control for the most part. And then that final 40 minutes getting home, yeah, that was pretty tired, and the heart rate was still quite elevated, so pushing for the most part zone 2 power, maybe a bit of high zone 2, but heart rate like well in my tempo zone. Definitely could have done with a bit more water out there. So yeah, probably dehydrated, tough session, tough work in the heat. I was also pressing on a little bit to try and get 30 kilometers an hour average, which is tough work in Sheffield. I mean, I wasn't really making time up during my session itself. That was an hour and 20 at 30 kilometers an hour average. So it was basically like my warm up and cool down that needed to be 30 as well. Good ride that. Get lots of fluids in because it has been hot. But I think that's a really good session and good to get back to some training. Plan would be rest day tomorrow, zone 2, maybe with some sprints on Saturday. Maybe play around with the altitude simulator, and then we got this road race on Sunday, so that should be a good laugh. It's pretty rare for me to hit 30k an hour average, even when I'm pressing on, not on the TT bike, that is. I was paranoid and it survived the 100, so it can't be too bad, but this tyre definitely isn't holding pressure so well, so just gonna top up the sealant. I imagine the tyre's just eaten up a lot of the sealant and needs a little bit more to maintain pressure better. Well, it definitely didn't need more sealant, but trying to put some in anyway. Hopefully that seals it better, I don't know. Rest day today, but just had a chat with Barney about how we're planning to use the Cloudline system in my prep for the National 10. So yeah, just gonna have a go with it today, just to see how it works and see how it feels. Vacuumed up in here, keep it nice and ventilated, get the fans on, the windows open, but yeah, just be tapping away at, I don't even know, like sub 200 watts probably, just to get a feel out for how the system works. Well, I found that very difficult, I'll be honest. Yeah, came up with a plan with Barney, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. I think that's going to be, I'm going to have to use it as more altitude acclimation. Zone 1 power, high zone 2 heart rate. With the heat training compared to like how most people experience it, I've always known that like I do quite well at it, because I'm able to just maintain my zone 2 power at like high zone 2 heart rate, and it doesn't feel ridiculous, whereas most people, their heart rate's really elevated, and their power comes off the face of a cliff, whereas for the altitude work, I was kind of like most people experience with the heat training, whereas maybe some people for the altitude, they're like me with the heat training, where do quite well power versus heart rate wise. So yeah, I was doing zone 1 power, high zone 2 heart rate, low SpO2, which is the figure that you're looking for. Barney was saying like aiming for like 85 to 80, and I was in the low 70s, just pushing, and I deflated the bag, which shows that your breathing isn't as optimal. So I think it's going to be very much a altitude acclimation. Use it like the heat training, which is probably going to be easier, to be honest. I mean, introducing less variables. But yeah, that's an interesting one for sure. There we go, extremely good progress compared to yesterday. Obviously it's not as warm today, it's quite overcast. Get out on the road for a road bike session. Well, just a couple of hours, zone 2, and then I'm going to hop back on for 30-40 minutes of heat training. Was able to, well, just under 200 and a bit watts, so like low zone 2, high zone 1 power. Heart rate basically the same as yesterday. High 130s, yeah, 204. Lowered the altitude from roughly 3,300 to 3,000 meters. But my SpO2 was significantly better. Did a full 30 minutes without the bag deflating. Yeah, SpO2 was typically high 70s, 76 to 78 sort of thing. Like sometimes in the low 80s, but quite rarely in the low 70s actually. Whereas yesterday it was very much in the low 70s, and I deflated the bag, which shows the breathing was not so good. And yeah, we're just trying to breathe in a similar way to the machine, not in sync with the machine, but just big breath in, big exhale out. So big in through the nose, big exhale through the mouth. And yeah, it's not like heat training where you get off and you're absolutely spent afterwards. It just feels like because your SpO2 returns to normal. I mean, I left the mask on for a couple of minutes after I'd finished, and the SpO2 climbs up to 97, 98 sort of thing. And then when I took the mask off, it was again 97, 98. But yeah, interesting to introduce this, and it's like I say, it's not too stressful. Unlike the heat training where you definitely need to be really careful with it, I feel like I can just do a load of this altitude stuff, so long as the intensity is nice and low. So I'm planning on just doing it before my ride. Fed back to Barney, and he reckons that makes sense. Just get in lots of lower intensity sessions, work on my breathing mechanics. So yeah, exciting stuff. Get out on the road bike now. Get some decent zone 2 in. Do a heat session, and then I've got this regional A road race tomorrow. So just be a bit of fun, really. Good training session regardless. So yeah, very standard ride, 2-hour loop, and then like I say, get on with some heat training once I get back. Warming up now. I can see the blue skies coming through, but it's been very overcast and kind of cold. That's made a change. Glad I wore the long sleeve jersey because yeah, a bit nippy, especially with the wind we always have in the peak. Heart rate a bit elevated. That might be from the altitude this morning, but focusing on my breathing, and yeah, feeling good. So see how we get on tomorrow. Getting back to it, just the one heat training this week. Probably won't bother tomorrow, but 30 minutes, get back to it. Next week I'll get back up to 3 sessions, see if I can do 40 minutes for each of those. But yeah, feeling good session. Heart rate nice and high, standard 5 minutes 350 erg, maintaining the heart rate as best as possible, but quite high today. Dropped to the 140s and then back up to 150 and some by the end. But yeah, nice and hot. Felt better than I normally do for heat training. So yeah, good. Hopefully, good signs going forward. We've arrived despite some random road closure. Dronfield. Had to completely go back on myself. Took like over an hour and a half to get here, but still here in plenty of time. Skin suit, numbers on. Get out on the course, get a lap in. 40 minutes till we need to form up, so take me 20 minutes to do a lap. So if I can get ready in 20 minutes, then get out for a lap of the course. I've done it before though, so I do know it.
Come on, Tom! He's got long sleeves on. There he is. See, he's at the front. Go, Tom! Time to go faster. Go on, Tom! There he is.
TT riders who I think have now gone, so they've played a big role. In second place.
Spiel about my race at the weekend. So yeah, it was just a good bit of fun to get involved in something different. The week after the 100, like I knew I wasn't going to be wanting to ride the TT bike. I thought my saddle sores were going to be horrific. So I'm like, okay, why not sign up for this road race? As Zach had suggested it to me a couple of weeks ago, and I'm like, you know what? There's no reason why I can't do it. I enjoyed it 2 years ago, did well at it because I know it's just a really tough course that the peloton just dwindles because of how tough it is. And yeah, felt safe out there, felt safe in the bunch. I mean, I wasn't taking any risks or anything, but really struggled with how surgy it was being the nature of bunch racing, and haven't done any of that this year. So it's unsurprising that I found it difficult. Like, we got to the bottom of the first climb and it was just 800 watts and then sit up at 200 watts. And I'm just like, oh, this is so hard. So what I end up doing is kind of setting just a solid 400 watt pace up the climb, because that felt easier for me rather than having to respond to these attacks and then stop. And then when the attacks came over the top, because I've got more momentum and I'm going faster, it's actually easier to respond to them. It kind of meant that for like the other sections where it's like they're just going to sit, I mean, I'm dropping some people on the climb and then it gets to the easier sections of the course and it's like, if we just sit up here, everyone's going to come back. So I'm like, I want to keep it rolling, keep the pace honest. But I was on the front to start out with, but I wasn't like overdoing it at all. I was very much riding within myself and just high zone 2, to be honest, 300 watts felt super easy on the downhill flat section. So just tapping away and keeping myself out of trouble as well meant that I could slide back. I think it's called sagging, where you slide back on the climb, like people roll over the top of you, but you don't need to respond as much because you're just watching other people to roll over the top and you're already further up the climb. Knew that I didn't want to be on the front anymore because it wasn't working. The pace wasn't hard enough to really whittle it down. So just sat back in the bunch and just more responded to moves. I'm pretty sure I paced the second and third time up the climb. Time after that, Zach just ends up riding off the front and no one chases him. So he was able to get away, and there was 2 guys who'd already gone off the front, so they formed the day's breakaway, and Zach was able to come away with third, which is a really good result. So super happy for him. But yeah, this meant I was in the main group with this horrible attacking, stopping nature, and just trying my best to keep with it. There was like one split that happened on the climb where I ended up getting totally boxed on the left side of the road, and like there'd be a little bit of a gap on the left and I'd be able to squeeze through, but then I'd be stuck behind another rider and I'm like, and I just needed to get to the right hand side just to move around to bridge this gap, and I was eventually able to do so, but I needed to work super hard. There was another time, it's actually in one of the video clips. I don't know if they're in the right order, I'll be honest. I tried my best to put them in the right order. WhatsApp's a bit weird with how it sends them. There's one time where I'm closing a gap, there's this guy on my wheel, and I remember that gap. It was just like brutal, and I'm like flicking the elbow. I'm like, bro, just give me a little bit of a pull here. And nothing, just sat there. I'm like, bruh, this guy. But yeah, had a couple of like really hard gaps to close, as well as keeping with the surges. And it was just under 2 laps to go where the surges on the climb, just one surge too many. I don't think the attacks on that time up the climb were anything crazy. It was just 1 lap too many, and a few of us couldn't handle it that time, and we formed like a group of 5 or 6 and just rolled round to the finish. Like, we still had something in the tank. We were still able to push on the climb. We just weren't able to push to the extent where we were able to keep with the main group. So yeah, Zach came third from the leading breakaway of 3. There was a bigger group of 10, 2 from my little group of Le Gruppetto. So I was 16th on the day. But yeah, had a good time. Definitely proved I'm a time trialist. Like, I would have just loved to be in the breakaway and just been able to like push more steady all day, just hard up the climb, no surging. The circuit has 2 climbs per lap, and it's always so hard up those climbs that you can't really force a separation on those climbs. So you kind of have to attack at other points. There was one time I did attack off the front to try and bridge the breakaway and got away with one other rider. And we worked well for about half a lap on the downhill section, and we survived to the bottom of the hill, but the group was actually working well behind at that stage. There was some times when we were in the group where the group was actually working well together. Like we were rotating through a little bit, but then someone would skip a pull, the next person skips a pull, and it's like, okay, we're making no progress here. But yeah, that's road racing. I was just trying my best, you know. But yeah, it was a good day out, good training. Yeah, nice change of pace, and happy to get back to time trialing next week.